What We Call Life by Jordan Rakei. It is 10 songs, 43 minutes long. I hope your Rakei is right, correct? On the
Ye-
Audioface pronunciation scale.
I'll go with that.
All right, cool. A solid indie album. This is right up my alley of stuff I will enjoy, especially for a year where I've called out male indie artists for multitudes of reasons, saying like your like production isn't that great, or you don't have like there's a couple other things that I did really like. But this is an album finally that I think is pretty good from a male artist going straight through for in the indie scene.
Yeah,
Finally,
I want to just a little bit of context, not as much as we did with the Lil Nas X thing, but
yeah,
Jordan Rakei, we reviewed his album Origins when it came out in 2019,
this is
and
2019.
yeah, and I slapped that with my pick for best electronic album of the year. We tied it
Yes,
because you picked Any Random Kindness by Halos.
yes,
Both
both
phenomenal
phenomenal.
electronic records, yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we ultimately went with totally different albums of the year that year. That was 2019. What a year! But yeah,
2019. I don't. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, I was just gonna say that what you get from here is an evolution of Origins. I'd say Origins felt a little more melancholy, whereas What We Call Life feels, it's has a lot of emotion in it, but it feels like there's a little bit more energy. When you get to the song Send My Love, it just fundamentally sounds a lot more
love
like
that track.
it just sounds much more like happy than anything else on Origins. It's like
Yeah, easily.
yeah, and I did love Origin for just like how profound it is. But like Origin started with a song called Mad World, and then Mind's Eye, and then like Oasis. Like these are really deep tracks and heady. But Send My Love is like a lot more of like a again like writing to a lover kind of deal, talking about these
It sounds
things.
hopeful. It has that youthful hopefulness in the lyrics, the production, everything, which is nice because we've been getting lots of deep albums or stuff this year, which is fine. But it's nice to have every once in a while get an album like this where you really get that hope into it, and especially with Origin, because yeah, Origin was a fantastic record. I remember really we I wanted to give the Origin, but I like Halo's record a tiny bit more in 2019. But compared to Origin, this is such a good album to come out after that. A couple years after it, they are pretty different in the way they're produced and in the way they sound, but enough to where it's Jordan Rakai in
Yeah,
that
and
way.
I would say it's a good like evolution of it too, because I would say a slight criticism I maybe had of Origin was that the latter half of the album didn't feel like it had the same amount of cohesion as the top half.
Yeah,
Um,
I could get that.
yeah, and like it was good album and like cohesive enough to again like win best electronic album for us. Right? So like I'm not trying to like
Hmm.
nitpick it here, but in comparison to What We Call Life, when we're looking for like improvements of artists like moving forward with their sound, I love playing it through. I was kind of just
It's
like on a
so good top to bottom.
yeah, I was kind of just like on an exploring trip this weekend, and
Ah,
one of my favorite things to do actually is like when I am still doing Audioface on one of my trips, and I still get to like listen to some music that is really good, and I can kind of just like have it be my background music as I'm exploring this place, and then like forever now, this album will be
you
associated with that exploration of that place.
I love doing that too. It's one of my favorite things. It's a time capsule. I love having time capsule records, right? Where you remember where you heard this, where you were at, like what time frame it was, what state of mind you're in. I really like that.
Yeah, like
Um,
Gorilla's Trans, I relate to my New York trip. DJ's
that's
Shadows,
great.
Our Pathetic Age, I want to say that's the name of the album. I relate to my Canada trip, so
Mhm.
Vancouver to be specific. And yeah, it's another one of those really great things. But yeah, it's
It's like for me, for like IDK How, I relate to Colorado a lot because that's the first time we did a single with them and everything. It's pretty cool. I like doing
yeah.
that.
Highly recommend that. It's just a general music listening experience vibe. We don't talk about that much on Audio Face, but hey, this is a good album to do that for because it's so cohesive top to bottom.
100%. Getting the musicality of it. Starts off family, really good opening track, gets you a sense of how it's going to sound. You have a lot of layering vocals and stuff into the choruses. You have pretty good production, not as heavily, nearly as heavily electronic as it is on Origin, but you get more of these indie sounds with more, um, I would say, played instruments, not just electronics, but you still have electronic in there and stuff naturally. Um, Next song, Set My Love, we already talked about it. might be my favorite on the record. It's hard because I really, really like the drum beat on it. The percussion's fantastic. Everything throughout it. Listen to that song a lot the past 2 days when I've had the chance to it. Um, Towards that middle of the album, Illusion, Underground, you get a good like mellow beat, like Illusion's kind of, or Illusion's upbeat, Unguarded. You get a little bit more of that chiller sound through it, but it doesn't halt the album at all. It still connects the two pieces together, which is really good and pretty difficult to do in a way, because if you want to put slower tracks, you can easily like halt it. But then Clouds, you get a little bit more with electronic sound in there, but it's still really good track, especially towards the end when you get this beautiful like coming up. It almost sounds like dubs with the way the percussion meets the electronics.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really beautiful, that song. I'm glad you mentioned it because that's the one I was gonna like also mention. I like the way in the beginning it does that thing that I've been loving about, I guess it's dark pop or alt pop, where a lot of the music is just a lack of sound. Right? So like the
yes.
fact
Okay.
there's like silence in there,
Mhm.
along it makes the percussion that much more like weighty. It makes the bass synth that much more weighty. It makes Jordan Rakei's voice, which was a point of which I was like, hey, this is okay. I really like the way it sounds, but I can see some improvement here with Origin. The improvement is there. It's really good here. I
That on the Annie scale of I want something to sound like Weird Fishes. That's your Weird Fishes song, is Clouds.
Oh hey, check that out there. Shout out Annie. And yeah, What We Call Life, the title track, it's really nice. It could have just what I didn't get from Origin that I do get from this is like a second half of the album that feels like it could not only just like stand on its own, but it's like it feels like its own journey, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
it's
felt the
way
same.
more of like you're feeling like you're floating in that second part of the record, because it's a bit more like it's chiller, but it's more expensive in the way it is. Like especially Clouds, What We Call Life, Runaway, and then you get to Weens, and then Weens kind of picks you back up, where you're almost like dancing on a beach. Like you get like some Latin American vibes, some Brazil Afrobeat vibes and stuff with the drums, the guitar
Yeah.
work, and everything. I really like how that picks it back up too, compared to you going down this trip. And there's a lot of emotion through it, and that you get a pick me up song, and then you go back the last two tracks, Grace and the Flood, which are the two longest on the album. They really go for an experience as well, but they land the album quite well, which is good compared to his previous album. Both had issues with the way it ended, but the Flood I think is a fantastic ending track for the record.
Yeah.
Really like
Um,
that track.
could you pull your mic a little bit closer? You're starting to break up a little bit on the
Oh,
lower things. But
yes.
yeah, I really liked the way Brace ended. Or like not just ended, but like the album ended with Brace and the Flood. It just made for a just really ethereal, powerful experience. We love album enders very, very much on this show, and so we like when an album ends really well. And I don't know if I can say this is like the best album ender. I have to like sit with it really because it's just like a lot. It's a lot of an experience, but I definitely did like it. Jordan Rakei is definitely making a running for some type of standard actual Audioface award this year. Maybe in best electronic again. I don't know, but like I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd put this in electronic category. I'd probably put it more in your indie or like all like compared to Origin, especially. But it's a fantastic record. It's definitely gonna be on short lists for our stuff. It's gonna be in discussions for different awards and stuff that we're gonna do at the end of the year. As the more and more I listen to this, the more I like it. Like, yeah, fantastic record.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to. Jordan Rakei has solidified himself as one of my favorite artists. With
Mm-hmm.
this, just in general with indie, like he's gonna be one of my go-tos. It's really great.
You and me as well. Oh God,
Oh, damn
arbitrary. Jesus Christ, can we
it.
just like not do this arbitrary scale? Can I just like?
uh, arbitrary scale, bad excuses for STDs, referencing the Nicki Minaj thing.
Uh,
All right.
This is I'm born. I was born with it. There you
This is I bruised it in the shower.
go. Jesus Christ. Take it for what you will. Jesus Christ. All right.